Listen and repeat. Daughter of the minister and the king. One day the king was sitting eating with his minister and said to him, "The minister you spoke in the pan. What did she say?" The minister was surprised and looked tired. He did not know what to answer. The pan is not alive. It cannot speak. But does it dare to say this to the king? When the minister's silence was prolonged, the king shouted, "I will give you 3 days to bring me what the pan said. Otherwise you will be severely punished from me." The minister returned to his house thinking about an answer to the king's question and sadness on his face. Then he entered his room and closed the door on himself and kept looking for an answer. But he did not find any solution or answer to convince the king, and he wondered, what does the king mean by asking him? There is the answer and there is no doubt going on in his head, but he does not know what it is. The minister sat in his room for a long time, so his only daughter, Maria, worried about him. So she approached the door of the room and clicked on her, gently, saying, "I ask your permission to enter." So the father allowed her to enter. Then Maria said to her father, "A day has passed and you are in your room." Fatigue and anxiety were evident on the minister's face, so she continued anxiously, saying, "What happened, Dad?" The minister said, "Something strange happened. My daughter, the king asked me a difficult and impossible question, and gave me 3 days. If I do not answer it, he will punish me harshly." Maria said, "And what is the question, my father?" The minister said, "I watered him in a bowl, and when he put the bowl back in place, he said to me, 'The bowl has spoken.' What did he say?" Maria laughed and told him that it was a smart question and its answer should also be smarter. The minister shouted in astonishment, "And do you know the answer, my daughter?" Maria said, "I certainly know the answer. Dad, the pot said, I was patient with the fire and left the hammers, and after that I reached the nostrils. And there is no oppressor except that he suffers injustice." The minister was astonished and immediately dressed, and went to the king's council, and as soon as he arrived, he conveyed the answer to him as his daughter told him. The king was impressed by the answer, which was smarter than the question, but he doubted that it was the minister who thought of this answer himself. The next morning, the king surprised the minister, saying, "Minister, I want you to come to my council tomorrow, neither rider nor pedestrians, and if you do not attend what I ordered you to do, I will fire you from your work. Your punishment will be severe and very severe." The minister looked at the king, surprised, and then left anxiously. When he arrived at his house, he called his daughter Maria, telling her about the king's request. She said, "This too I have a solution for you, Father." The father rejoiced at the intelligence of his daughter. The next morning, Maria brought her father a small animal, which he rode and went to the king's palace, riding on the animal with its feet on the ground. The king was happy for the minister's good behavior and cunning of his trick, so he approached him and said to him, "I want to know who tells you that, minister." The minister said that she is my daughter Maria, my sire. The king said, "I want you to bring her to me immediately." And when Maria came to the king's council, the king marveled at how beautiful she was. But that did not stop him from testing her in a question that is impossible to answer. The king said, "I will marry you at night, Maria, and I want you to get pregnant immediately, to give birth to a new baby tonight and grow up the newborn in hours. And in the morning this newborn will be a king sitting on his throne smiling." Maria said, "I command you, my lord," and she approached the window overlooking a large part of the garden, and it was dry without planting. Then she turned to the king, and said, "I want you, my lord, to plow this land tonight, and sow it tonight and pick the planting tonight and eat of its fruits in the morning." The king marveled and shouted, "This is unreasonable." Maria said, "How do you want me then to bring you a child at night and grow up in hours, and take in the morning your king?" The king was happy from Maria's answer, and then he married her and she became a queen next to him and they lived a happy life.